Good afternoon, teachers, pre-service teachers, and parents, and welcome to the Professional Development session. During this session, I'll explain how teachers can use the resources I've created previously regarding informative text for students in Year 2. When it comes to learning about the structure for informative text and the descriptive language used within, it is important for students in Year 2 to gain this knowledge and understanding about the concept at a young age. Looking at the Australian curriculum, by the end of Year 2, students understand how similar text structures and language features are used to describe characters and events, or to communicate factually information. Children's development of literacy skills is supported by frequent and rich experiences with print and text. The purpose of an informative text is to present factual information on a topic. It is important that students are able to consistently and accurately differentiate between what consists of a fact and what can be considered as an opinion. And the primary purpose of a descriptive writing is to describe a person, place, or thing in such a way that a picture is formed in the reader's mind. In the Australian curriculum, capabilities encompasses knowledge, skills, behaviours, and dispositions. Students develop capabilities when they apply knowledge and skills confidently, effectively, and appropriately in complex and changing circumstances, in their learning at school and in their lives outside of school. Students will become more literate as they develop the knowledge and skills to interpret and use language confidently for learning and communicating in and out of school. Text knowledge, grammar knowledge, word knowledge, and visual knowledge are the aspects that make up the literacy strand of the general capabilities. Text knowledge involves students understanding how the spoken, written, visual, and multimodal texts they compose and comprehend are structured to meet the range of purposes needed in the learning area. Grammar knowledge is the understanding the role of the grammatical features in the construction of meaning in the text they encompass and comprehend. Word knowledge involves students understanding the increasingly specialized vocabulary and spelling needed to compose and comprehend learning area texts. And finally, visual knowledge involves understanding how visual information contributes to the meanings created in the learning area's text. The main challenge for students when it comes to descriptive language, especially adjectives, is that students struggle to identify the adjectives that are part of the noun group, which will always include a noun or pronoun. Although there are countless activities, worksheets, and grammar booklets that teachers can use to teach this aspect of grammar and language, the important thing to remember is the context. Students will retain information when it is presented to them in meaningful ways and when it is most relevant or useful. Students need a solid command of adjectives and other forms of descriptive language to communicate successfully. At schools, adjectives are explicitly taught as a way for students to develop their narrative abilities and language complexity. Adjectives are essential for describing and differentiating. Because of this, it is important to incorporate teaching strategies into learning that will help students overcome these challenges. Throughout the different resources, several teaching strategies were included that have created a positive impact on student learning. Teaching strategies are methods and techniques that a teacher will use to support students through the learning process. A teacher will choose a strategy that is most suitable to the topic being studied and the level of the knowledge that the student has regarding the topic. Taking this into consideration, the four key strategies that have been modeled include explicit teaching, questioning, setting and communicating clear lesson goals, and think, pair, share. Explicit teaching was used to provide instruction, demonstrate the concept, and build students' knowledge and skills when it comes to the structure of informative text and the specific language features used. Questioning played a large role within the resources also, as this strategy engages and challenges students and can also be used as a tool to check for understanding and can evaluate the effectiveness of teaching. Setting and communicating clear lesson goals is another strategy that is used to help students understand the success criteria, commit to the learning, and provide the appropriate mix of success and challenge. And finally, think, pair, and share. This is a collaborative learning strategy where students work together to answer a question. This strategy requires students to think individually about the question and then share their ideas with their partners before sharing with the class. Using content-relevant terminology is crucial when it comes to supporting students' understanding and achievement of learning intentions. When it came to creating the lesson plan for the students, it was important to incorporate terminology regarding informative text structure and descriptive language. Terminology such as general classification, facts, concluding statement were seen in the lesson plan, and when it came to the resources in form of video, terminology such as primary purpose, adjectives, and nouns were incorporated into the resource, as I believe it is crucial for the students to be exposed to this type of terminology. A general classification is a sentence at the beginning of an informative report where the writer will explain what is going to be talked about. Facts are information used as evidence in a report or news article. The concluding sentence is the final sentence of an information report, and this usually contains an interesting fact and will conclude the report. Primary purpose explains the main idea of the report. Adjectives are describing words that describe the qualities of a noun, and a noun is a person, place, or thing. It is important for teachers to check for understanding during and at the conclusion of the lesson. Throughout the audio lesson, I made sure to gauge the students' understanding by asking questions such as, where in the example can we find where the author is describing what the report is going to be about? And hands up if you'd like to tell me where one of the 3 facts can be seen. At the conclusion of the lesson, I got the students to use their thumbs to resemble their understanding of the topic. If they had a better idea of the structure of an informative text, they would give a thumbs up, and if they still seemed to be struggling with the structure, they would give a thumbs down. This will allow myself to understand that the students' current levels of knowledge regarding the topic and whether instructions will need to be differentiated to cater for different students in the following lessons. During the audio lesson, students started off by building their knowledge and skills regarding the structure of an informative text, which included the contextual sentence, facts, and concluding sentence. As a class, students needed to use 3 different colored highlighters to distinguish the 3 different sections. After completion of this task, it was time for the students to receive another informative text, and this time test their knowledge individually. The expected students' responses to this activity include a complete answer, which is where all sections are highlighted correctly, an incorrect answer, where students show some understanding but don't quite get the highlighting correct, and an incomplete answer is a response that signals minimal or if any knowledge about the concept. Example A shows a student who has a complete understanding of the structure as they have successfully highlighted the general classification, facts, and concluding sentence in the correct colors. Example B signals that the student has some knowledge when it comes to the concept, but hasn't fully understood the 3 different sections. This student has been able to highlight the general classification, but could only highlight one of the facts, which shows that they understand what a fact is, but they just couldn't identify the others. They then went on to correctly identify the concluding sentence. And example C demonstrates a student who has an incomplete response to the structure of an informative text. This can be identified by the incorrect highlighting of the structure. This student will need extra assistance when identifying the different sections of the informative text in the upcoming lessons. It is crucial to have follow-up activities that provide meaningful opportunities for students to apply the knowledge and skills that is at the focus of the intended learning goal. The first activity is that all students will receive a handout where an informative text has been jumbled around, and their job is to cut out the different sections and glue them in order to successfully create the text. The second activity allows students to have the opportunity to work in small collaborative groups to create an informative text about an Australian animal. The groups will need to use a computer to research information about the animal, and students will receive a planning handout where they will need to take notes regarding the information they have researched. With the information they have collected, an informative text will have to be created using a Word document. And the final activity is called Does It Belong? After reading a piece of informational text as a class, students will need to identify the main idea of the text and then have students decide whether or not the fact belongs within that text. These 3 follow-up activities are great as they are engaging and provide meaningful opportunities for the students to apply their knowledge regarding the context. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of the PD session regarding informative text, specifically the structure and descriptive language that is used within. I'd like to thank everyone who has attended the session, and I hope you are able to take away some knowledge, whether it included some key teaching strategies, terminology, examples of questions that could be used to check for understanding, or even some follow-up activities that provide meaningful opportunities for the students. Once again, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for attending, and I hope I will see you again soon.